All right, what's going on, guys? Bill Daru back again, Daru Strong Podcast, episode number 10. So we're moving along very quickly. Today, my guest is a good friend of mine, one of the people that got me started doing YouTube and programs online, Mr. Chris Barnard, Coach Chris Barnard, Overtime Athletes. I'm at strength camp right now, so had to come by, check you out, talk a little shop, and go from there. But first, let me get the sponsors out the way, Chris. All right, so we got Revive MD, ReviveSups.com. Go ahead and check out my personal stack that I use for my athletes and myself. You can go ahead on the discount code Daru Strong 20 at checkout to get 20% off. Also, make sure you check out my new 8-week bodyweight only program, Body Armor, now available for 50% off, all on my website, DaruStrong.com.
Welcome to the Daru Strong Podcast. Daru Strong Podcast.
Let's go. Mind over matter. Put your mind somewhere else and keep going. That little voice in your head is trying to stop you from getting to where you want to be. Be successful and keep moving forward.
With your host and world-renowned strength and conditioning coach, Phil Daru.
Chris, what's up, bro?
Yes, sir. What's going on, man?
Nothing, man. So it's always good to see you. We always chop it up.
Same to you, man.
So let's go over, because I know a lot of people, if you know me, you know you, right? Like if they don't know me and they don't know you, something's wrong, right? at this point. So let's go over like your, how you got started in coaching, building a business, starting with strength camp, you and Elliot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, my business partner's Elliot Hulse, who you know as well. He actually, I was a coach when I was younger, LA Fitness, personal trainer type deal. He actually trained me when I was preparing for college football.
Gotcha.
So he had a gym strength camp, which we're at right now. And I was getting my degree in exercise science at the University of Miami while I was preparing for football.
Okay.
And then after that, once I got my degree, I started training athletes out of that gym. And it just kind of snowball effect from there. You know what I mean? And when you have that kind of ambition, you want to basically everything sports, athletic performance related, any avenue I could touch or help out an athlete, I just started, basically working with any and every athlete that I possibly could. And then started the YouTube channel. Now with 2020, we got Instagram, TikTok, everything under the sun. We got podcasts. So really that was kind of the start. I mean, when I think of the inception, it's just basically, I was already coaching, but strength camp gave me the outlet to be able to work with athletes in a warehouse facility. I hated it when I worked at LA Fitness. Because one, you got to make a check, right? So I'm working with, like middle-aged moms, and it's more or less like you're a therapist as opposed to a coach. And but then Elliot really opened my eyes. Not too many people were doing the garage style warehouse gym at the time. There was, but remember, internet at the time wasn't as prevalent as it is. So, going here and flipping a tire at the time, this was all brand new. And man, it lit a fire in me.
What year was this?
This was 2008.
Okay.
2008.
Okay.
2008. Yeah. So I mean, people were doing it. People were doing, you got your OGs like Zach, Joe. But we didn't have anything like this. Growing up, I remember hiring a trainer to prepare for football, and I think right out of high school, and it was like in a fitness center. You know what I mean? So there's only so much you could do. You're doing your 3x12 arm curls, right? It's like, that's not really necessarily the way to train for performance.
On top of the environment, too. It's just like
exactly. The chrome and carpet, everything like that.
I was going to say, I like that term. Chrome and carpet gym. I need that mic up a little bit further.
Yeah, absolutely. Beyond that, like I said, it's just that's how I got my in, and then it's the passions only grew from there, and then you just kind of, like I said, it's a snowball effect. It gets bigger and bigger as it goes. You start working with, as I gain more experience, perfect my craft and beat on my craft, bigger athletes come.
Yeah.
And you know, the one thing that's been awesome is being able to, and we were just talking about this, is just see the evolution of these athletes from the high school level all the way up into the pros.
Yeah.
And that to me is like the best thing about coaching, right? And so, you know, I think the energy behind it with sharing online is more or less the fact that we had muscle and fitness when we were doing when we were preparing for high school football, baseball, basketball, whereas these kids have YouTube and can actually watch athletes training.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a far different thing. So I think almost the energy is like we get to pay it forward.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
For sure. And that's one thing that I think that coaches should be doing. And we talk about, you know, philanthropy, like doing things sometimes for almost free to help these kids out and get them to the next level is something that you have to do in some ways, or at least from every coach. If you're not a coach, you wouldn't understand it. You know? When you started, I know you started with football, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was like? I know you probably played other sports as a kid, right? When was that time, that pivotal time in your life that you were like, okay, football that's where I'm going to take it to the next level?
So right around 10th grade, and this is one of my biggest regrets, and I tell every athlete this. Right around 10th grade, I remember having a conversation with a coach who was like, if you want to do this, you have to go all in on football. I have to quit basketball and baseball. And I could run track because it got you faster in the spring for football, right? Exactly. But once I was told that, I think it was 10th grade, and that's when I basically shut everything down and went in on football. And that's kind of where it was like, hey, I'm going all in. You know, I want to play this at the highest level.
Yeah.
I played it from the time that you could put pads on all the way through.
Yeah.
And I mean, even till I think my last NFL regional tryout, I was 27. So it's like I went, you know what I mean? I was a lifer.
We know a couple of guys like that.
But cool. You keep trying to knock on doors if you believe in yourself and you know that, you know, athleticism you possess. And I mean, looking back, there was a lot of wrong things I did in understanding the process, but that's what allows me to help out as a coach now, is because I can tell these kids, it's like, I get you know you can play, but that doesn't matter if you're not qualified and you're not in a school. You know what I mean? So there's like all these little conversations you have, and you as an athlete, you kind of protect your dream and your goal. And you know, it's just one of those things where you know, knowing that as an athlete allows you to relate. You know what they're going through on a visceral level.
Yeah, that brings up an interesting question I wanted to ask. Like, so what would you say would be the things that you would change, or at least go past, or, you know, at least figure out a way to get around, and what you would tell the athletes now that, you know, you kind of made some mistakes in the past?
When you say get around, basically some of the mistakes that prevented me from achieving my goal.
100%.
I think well, one, from a training standpoint, I think I didn't understand the level of consistency that I do now, and the repetition that's required to really get good at something. You know, you want to be good at something the first rep you do it, especially if you're super competitive and you're an athlete and you usually things come you know, easy to you. But just the amount of repetitions and basically beating on your craft every day. I did things, and I was I wouldn't say naturally gifted. I was pretty fast. I could dunk a basketball in 10th grade, that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But I didn't realize until now, when I tell these guys, like, hey, get in here whether you want to or not. Just show up and let's start going through it, and then stack those together. You put, you know, it's like laying a foundation of bricks, right? You got to go brick after brick after brick. So from a training level, I think my consistency, I had no problem going hard when I showed up. It was just the level of like structuring it and actually putting it together. Beyond that, I thought also that my training would allow everything else to come into place. Meaning, like, if I just prepared myself athletically as best as I could, all the logistical stuff would take care of it. For instance, Miami, the technicality of Miami. I made the team. The coach put me on. I go home. I drive all the way back. I have all my paperwork right there, and I didn't get cleared for clearinghouse.
Oh, wow.
So you know, these were little things that I could have done that were homework that I just didn't really like. I just kind of walked through it, like just stupid little stuff that you know, I didn't pay attention to the other aspects of it. And you know, it's kind of that energy of like if you're a good athlete, things kind of fall into place, and this is the process. But you really got to take control of your own journey, your own dream, your own goal, and don't rely on anybody.
Yeah, I see you are a very scheduled out person now. Like,
Absolutely.
I see it on the boards here.
Absolutely,
And I kind of take, a page out of your book when it comes down to organization. That Organizing Tomorrow Today book that we talked about. I tell that to all of my mentorees that are, in the mentorship program with me. You have to read that book. That's one of the things, like, I feel that people get sidetracked a lot because of, let's face it, technology. I think that they don't have the ability to focus in on one specific subject. And don't get me wrong, I got plenty of moving parts, right? I got 7, 8 things going on. But as long as I can focus on one particular thing at that particular time, keep everything moving forward, then everything is going to be consistently progressing.
Right.
That's what you want.
Right.
When you have so many, because you own a business, right? You want to run a successful business, entrepreneur, coach. How do you manage out, like you said, we talked about the schedule, but how do you manage out, because now you're coaching a bunch of athletes.
Right.
You're basically ahead of Strength Camp, right? You have the franchises. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how do you structure everything out appropriately?
So, it's funny. I actually got the stuff right here, but I actually, just because we're on camera, I might as well show a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just, I write down goals, I write down my schedule, my morning and evening ritual. I know it seems a little bit OD, but I literally have down to, what days I do what, and at what times I do what, and how long I do it.
Wow.
So I'm sharing this because this is like, to me, that was the biggest game changer. So I don't know if, we were talking about how I got started, but beyond Overtime Athletes, I have 3 businesses. I have Strength Camp International, Strength Camp Media, which is an online company, and Strength Camp Gym, which we're in right now with Elliot. So when I got all these kind of all in the same 3 months, I was buried with work. I couldn't I was scratching and clawing every single day. So I spent a year taking the time to realize, how do people manage their time that are operating at a high level. Books such as Organize Tomorrow Today, a couple other ones. I have this morning ritual book. Like, basically anybody who's successful has their own particular morning ritual, right? So I took all these and I accumulated the ones that fit best for me. And from an organizational standpoint, there was a couple key things that I did to be able to. One, I realized, like, I had to change my paradigm to, like, okay, here's the project. I'm going to go for 12 hours straight and get this project done. And I basically don't stop, right, until it's all done. So I had to shift my paradigm from just, because, in this game, work is endless. There's always going to be something. It's always, So when you have that mentality, you kind of get buried. So I had to shift from that to, hey, I'm going to put 1 hour, 60 minutes, 45 minutes on the clock, and I'm going to work on each little bit, the most impactful stuff each day, and then let that stack up over time.
Gotcha.
One, it gets me ahead of the game. It allows me to touch on each one of the aspects of it each day. And it just keeps me kind of ahead of the curve. And then obviously organizing the night before for the next day, scheduling it out, putting it in a planner, actually taking the time to do those exercises. It's really just time management, from a tangible level. It's it's tangible exercise that you could do from that level. And that's what allows me, going off of what you said, to focus in on the things that I'm working on right now, because it's like I'm not thinking ahead or looking behind. I worked on that. So it's like I'm able to touch that, get locked in with this particular thing for right now, and then move forward with the next thing. And it allows me to take care of a lot of the ancillary stuff that you don't want to do day to day. You go in the gym, there's a lot of other bullshit that you would, it's not just coaching all day.
Oh, no.
A lot of guys don't
That's
realize
like
that.
10% almost at the point.
Yeah, you're dealing with the power bill. You're dealing with, what I mean? It's always something that you got to be on top of, all of those things. So those things don't go away, And then when you start accumulating a team, that's a completely different ball game, because now you got different energies. It's one if it's just you, because you know yourself, you know how to manage yourself, but now you're managing different energies, and not everybody's going to be on. So having that structure and organization, I mean, there's a plethora of it, but I was showing that because really I have it written down on a quarterly basis. Here's my goals. I reverse engineer it, and I crack away at that each and every day. Yeah. That's my big thing.
You know, and if you guys didn't see that, like, he has that written down towards the minute even. So, like, Parkinson's law, right? We got to make sure that our time is being utilized, and we have a deadline for each time. So you have, that subjective time frame to get the job done, whatever's on that list.
Right.
I think that's very important. I even do that down to even when I'm programming. You know what I mean? When we got about 10 minutes to do such and such. We got 20 minutes to do this. We got 10 minutes to do that. So at least we have a structured out program. Obviously, there's going to be some auto regulating on each day because new things come up all the time.
100%.
Even in business, there's so many things that you have to make sure that you delegate to and make sure that everything's flowing.
Right.
So when you do have those days where, like, okay, there's a curveball being thrown in, how do you redirect and still do what you need to do, but take care of that too as well? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it would depend on the actual curveball that's thrown at you, right? Because some things are more impactful than others in your actual day-to-day business, but I'll address it off of that. You know what I mean? If it's something small and I can delegate it and get to moving on forward, I think the biggest thing that I did was I started waking up earlier. So one thing that I've done since I started is every year I wake up 10 minutes earlier than I did the previous year. It's just some weird shit I started. I don't know why, but it just caught on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So right now I'm at 5:40.
Okay.
I'm at 5:40 every morning.
Where'd you start at? 7?
At 7.
Yeah.
7.
Okay.
Yeah. So just from there, and I remember my pops always, he was old school blue collar, so he was, early bird gets the worm. Yeah. And, I used to tell him who wants a worm, you know what I mean? But it was just one of those things where I realized after a while, like, I have to shift myself. So with that being said, my ass is in a chair. Some days I actually won't even use the alarm clock and I'll be up earlier. It's just that internal clock. Yes, sir. And I'll usually be in the chair by between 6:30. And that first 3 hours until the guys come in at 9 is paramount to me. Yeah. Because I knock out all my concentrated work in that time. Of course. So I allow myself to free up from I don't want to say less impactful things or more important things, but I'm able to kind of deal with the things that aren't as urgent and as important. So I forget that book. I think it's Habits of Highly Successful People. They have those quadrants, right? So it's like what's urgent, what's important, you know what I mean? So if you're making an itemized list of things that you need to do, I'm knocking those out in those first 3 hours. This is my go time. I come in here, I get I'm just head down and just going. So much so that we had a downtown office, which we just got rid of because with the whole virus thing and all that, we moved back over here, and we're shutting down some of the hours here just so we could work online concentrated. Because it's that impactful. You know what I mean? But that's really where I get most of it done, and then I free myself up to work with my guys. And I realized I have to have different energies. When I'm working by myself, I know what I'm capable of. When I go into a meeting, it's preparing and being able to just be susceptible and work with them, and then give yourself that time to deal with the other ancillary stuff. So really it's how you structure your day. To answer your question, how you deal with curveballs is how you structure your day. I mean, if something were to happen in the morning and it is something crazy happening, things happen. Like I don't know, I had a guy try to break into the house. Yeah, bro. At 4 a.m. So it's like, obviously that morning.
In the house or?
In the house. In the house, yeah. Damn. He actually, man, it's getting off topic, but he actually, bro, I had to pull a gun and everything. He went next door. Wow. And then he ended up getting killed by the guy. Wow. He broke in. He actually got into that house and got killed. Crazy. So it's just a random story. We haven't had a chance to catch up. But the crazy thing about that, I mean, obviously that day I spent it at the police precinct, because we had to talk.
How long ago was this?
Bro, this was like 4 months ago.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's great.
Wow.
St. Pete?
Yeah, St. Pete.
Damn St. Pete, man. See, I was gonna come out here.
So,
it reminded me of home.
completely off topic, but
it's all good.
But those I'm giving that example because obviously that puts a wrench in my day.
Yeah,
you had to cancel.
That's what I mean.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So you got to do those things, and then you make up for it, whatever. But if it's, hey, a guy's having a bad day and he needs to come in and talk, I still able to get those 3 hours in.
Yeah.
Handle what I need to handle, schedule out my coaching after it, and then, go about my day.
I think that's one of like the X factors. Like people don't understand how vital and how crucial it could be to get those just you time in, you know what I'm saying? And like for me, I have 3 kids, so I have to get up way before them. You now have a kid,
yeah.
So you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out.
Yeah.
But you gotta get those time because at that you have to also spend time with them.
Yeah.
So now I'm giving them their time and my wife time. So yeah, it really depends. And waking up early is like a jump start to the day. If I can get those 3 hours in, like you talked about. For me, it's probably only 2 because of the fact that they're up by 6. I have to get my son off to school.
You got to get him to school. So, see, I'm not dealing with that yet.
Yeah. It's coming.
Don't
worry. Like I said. But you'll see, like, it'll shift, and then you'll find, okay, now I have to put together time for them.
Right.
And that whether that be, shutting off all technology, keeping that away, and then giving them the time, or maybe even having them come to the gym and spend time with me here. Like, I had my son at the gym all day yesterday, which was really cool. Obviously, we kept it, very small grouped, and he was safe.
Right.
But, it was good because he was around what I do. He understands it.
Right.
All the fighters,
Monkey
you know.
see, monkey do.
Yeah, he was in there training. He was training with Nick.
Yeah.
Did some of the, Mr. Mother Muscle stuff, and
That's
then
awesome.
he was wrestling. So that's cool, man. So now I want to talk a little bit about business because you are a very successful business owner, and that was one of the things that like really got me into doing more of the programs online and stuff. So how did you really get into all that? Because like for me, I didn't even really know. I was doing little templates and selling them on my website for like cheap prices, and then I saw you and we did Fight Ready together, and I was like, you opened up my whole mindset to like new world of like programming and getting this out to the masses.
Right.
So how did you start doing that?
So that year that I did my internship, I did it with Elliot. Okay. So required by Miami, I had to do, exercise science program. I had to do an internship. I showed up and he was just like, here's the classes, go coach them. I didn't even walk alongside him, but he coached me for so long. He knew I was already kind of a coach and all that.
Yeah.
But it was funny, outside the classes, we had like a 6 a.m. class, and then I had a bunch of athlete classes starting at like 4 all the way to 8, right? What do you do in the middle of that day? You're still a coach, right?
Yeah.
So I saw him, he would go upstairs into this loft in the warehouse, and he would just start working online. And like, I don't even think I owned a laptop. Yeah, I probably did. I was in school. But it was just like, what are you doing? And I just started asking questions and seeing what it was, and then he was explaining to me how like these guys, internet marketing, and he was explaining to me, and I started doing a little research on my own. Yeah. So at that moment, I realized Elliot wasn't really making his bread from the gym, right? He wasn't really making his revenue from the gym. He was making it from online at the time. And this was when he just got started with YouTube. If you guys don't know, Elliot has a big YouTube channel, right? Yeah. And so I was just kind of watching and just peeking over his shoulder every day, seeing what was going on. And towards the end of it, I kind of got into the performance side. That's what my thing was working with athletes. So I kind of did a little research, and I was like, there's not too many people out here, and the guys who were, they weren't athletes. It wasn't as transparent as it is now. You put up a page of copy, you put up a couple before and after pictures, and then I remember buying one of these programs, and I was like, this is what they're giving these athletes, and I was like, I felt like I could do better. So I got into it, and I learned copy, I learned video editing, I became a jack of all trades in internet marketing, just wanted to learn everything that I could. And I mean, it was ugly, but you know what I mean, it was exactly, you had to gain experience. I've never lacked ambition. Right. And I asked him the right questions, and he would tell me, he would point me in the right direction. I remember I hired a Russian web developer, found him on Google, and he put up my first page. I remember I went back to school and I posted the link on Facebook, and I sold 2 or 3 of them, right? It was a $77 product. It was TXT, Total Explosive Training.
Yeah.
Bro, I saw that in my account the next day. It was like 200-something bucks, and I never looked back.
Yeah.
It was crazy to me to think like I didn't have to. Like, it was crazy to think like my work I can now make residuals after. I didn't really understand how business worked like that.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I didn't understand. So before it was like I cut grass. So it's like I'm putting in this hour, I get it. It's an exchange, right?
Yep.
And same thing with coaching. You train them for an hour and it's an exchange of your service. Now it was like I could put this out there and somebody can find it in, overseas, and they can buy it at 3:00 in the morning. And something I made 3 months ago or 2 months ago, and that shit was just a completely different mindset for me. And once I did that, bro, it was just like, you know what I mean? I knew I still had to be in the trenches and actually like work with athletes, because that was the same thing that I was knocking a lot of these guys at the time. Was like, you guys aren't, and I'm an athlete, so I'm like, you guys, this isn't really how you do it or whatever. It was just my own bullshit. I was immature.
Yeah.
But I was like, I kind of took that energy, was like, keep coaching over here and keep sharing over here.
Yeah.
Coach share, and keep, and I don't delete anything. I cringe when I watch my old videos as a coach, because I'm just like, dude, like I was so bad back then.
Yeah.
But it's like, you see,
does that, right?
but you see, I felt like a fraud, but I was like, you see my evolution, and I'm still beating on my craft and learning. Same as you, right? 100%. We still. The first thing we talk about when we get in here is we talk about coaching, and we talk about, you know what I mean? I loved it because I watched a documentary the other day. It was Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. Yeah. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
Dude,
I need
you gotta
to
watch it.
Nick
but
Saban
it's
and Bill
funny
Belichick.
because they get together, right? And the first like 2 hours of their conversation is all ball.
Yeah.
It's like we're here to do a documentary and talk about coaching and what do we do, but really they're just so in love with ball that's what they're talking. It's like the first 10 minutes we chat.
I think the first time we met, we were talking for like an hour.
Dude, just going back and forth, picking each other's brain, and it's just continuously beating on your craft. We love to see athletes get better. I love to see a kid knock his time down and then all of a sudden get an offer. It's like there's something internally that makes me want to do that. So the internet marketing was just a way for me to be able to have no ceiling above my head. Yeah. As I told you before, when I worked at LA Fitness, bro, you're getting like $6 a half hour, $12 an hour, and it's like you can't do that all day. So it's like, how's another outlet that I can, be as ambitious as I want to, no ceiling above my head. Wow, here's this online side of things where I can connect with somebody across the world.
Yeah. I think you get resentful if you're doing that and you're only getting paid for a certain amount at certain times and
burn out.
Yeah, and it's the same thing over and over again. That's why like coaching athletes, in my opinion, is the most rewarding thing that you could do. And then having your own establishment and not having to worry about other people talking to you. Like, I feel bad because I know I consult with a lot of college strength coaches, and I know how bad like their job's on the line every single day. Yeah. So it's like they're walking a fine line no matter what. They could be coming off a winning season and still get fired. Right. And then they got to uproot and move their families everywhere. For me, I never really wanted that. I love the side of running my own thing and having my own establishment and doing what I want to do and teaching and coaching the way I wanted to. Right. So that's why I started that, and I could see it in you too. That's why when we first met, I was like, when you told me about the programs, I was like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way that's possible. And then I started and we did it. Check out Fight Ready, by the way. Absolutely. On my website. All right, so getting all through that, I know you have your downtime at some points. What do you like to do on your downtime? I seen some videos. I seen some pictures. I seen a big fish that you caught the other day. So what do you like to do? What does Chris Barnard like to do?
Yeah, I'm a Florida boy, man. Yeah. So hunt fish. Yeah, hunting fish, woods and water, man. That's it. That's what I love to do. I've been doing it since I was young. My brother, he's a big, he's a big advocate. He's a big. We're really into it, and we also enjoy preparing it. You know, and that goes along the health side of things. You know what I mean? Being able to prepare my own food. I have a garden, so you know what I mean. My girl takes care of that. So it's like there's a health aspect to it, but there's also that kind of connection to your food. You know, because we love to do everything we do, whether it be gators, deer, hogs, you know, fish. we truly prepare. We love the process of preparing it. You know what I mean? So I just enjoy it because I feel like with the online side, it's so. I'm a numbers guy, so you know my strength is math. So, you know, guys might not know this, but I'm also the accountant of these businesses. So I do all the payroll, I do all the numbers, I do all that stuff.
He does do all of that. That is crazy to me.
So it's very like heady shit, right? Whereas if I'm on the water, if I'm in the woods, dude, I get to be there, and I can disconnect, and I don't have as many moving parts. I enjoy that, you know. It kind of gives me that peace of mind, and that's my lifestyle. It's like there's coaching, but then I also love to create my lifestyle around being able to do the opportunity of the pursuit, right? The pursuit of fish, whatever, you know, deer, hog, whatever it is.
In the moment.
Yeah. So I really enjoy that in my downtime, which we got to go. We got to do a bunch of that.
For sure.
Yeah. And then now, obviously, with having a son, man, on a day-to-day basis, is being able to just spend some time with him and my girl, with family. That I'm a big family guy. You know what I mean? From top to bottom, you know, my nieces, and then I still have my boys from school. You know what I'm saying? So I still have my group of friends. That it's been like 4 of us since we were in kindergarten.
That's cool.
So, you know, I mean, it was find time to get with them on my downtime, and then study. You know what I mean? I love to study on a day-to-day basis. I love to always be consuming something, whether it be training, leadership, personal development, you know, anything under the sun that pertains to me at that particular time in my life. So I just feel like I'm adding to myself, you know. So between those 3, family, you know, family, friends, the hunting, fishing, and then the study, so.
Yeah, it's funny because the guy behind the camera, he's been my best friend forever. So since I was like 8 years old.
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
Me and Nick
man.
played high school football together. So keeping them in the tight circle that we have, you know, and growing together is always
that's
something,
awesome,
you know.
man. And to see you guys come up, I think I seen Nick post something where it's like you guys able to evolve and still be in the same game. My friends are they were working for Budweiser, now they're all linemen, right? So it's like they're doing their own thing. I'm kind of was like I went my own way, but it's awesome to see you guys evolve together and all be able to work together. That's a beautiful thing too. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean I trust them obviously.
Exactly.
They know me as well.
Exactly.
So. All right, so I always give the guests 2 questions.
Okay.
And this is a good one because it kind of goes hand in hand with what you were talking about earlier. Give me, because we always talk about successful people having routines.
Right.
Give me your daily routine, or let's just say your morning routine.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, as I just mentioned, I wake up at 5:40. I drink, basically, I try to get, 8 ounces of water immediately. It's just one, thing that I try to do immediately. I take a stack of supplements. Right now it's more of a health, you know what I mean? Like I take a fish oil, but I always do something, whatever I'm in. Like I'll go through things where when I was single and I was drinking a little bit more, I would take like a liver thing and stuff like that. But whatever, you know what I mean? If it's taking creatine because I'm trying to get stronger, I take basically my supplements right then. I try to listen on the way to work to Audible, so I want to expose myself to some new ideas and get my mind turning as I go here. And then it used to be at the house, but now it's here because I have a son, is 10 minutes of just basically breath work. which is kind of a form of a meditation,
Yep.
basically. And what that does is it just kind of slows the incessant mind stream down, like, and lets me lock in for those 3 hours.
Gotcha.
So this changes, from time to time, but for the most part, I was just trying to give what's the constant, right? And that's like basically you wake up, hygiene, hydration, take, the little bit of, because I don't eat until right now. I don't eat until like 3 or 4.
Really? Are you doing intermittent fasting?
I'm not really doing like intermittent fasting purposefully.
Yeah, it's just
but
happens.
I notice with how packed I am, if I eat, my digestion slows my mind down a little. I get a little lethargic, I should say.
Makes sense.
And so I have like, I take a little bit of the supplement stack of fish oils, the daily vitamin, stuff like that.
Gotta get you hooked up with the Daru athlete stack.
I know you gotta tell me about this.
I got you.
And then, like I said, expose myself to ideas, and then find a way to be able to keep the mind still for a little bit. And that allows me to lock in better with the work. I used to think it was like woo and stuff like that, but to be honest with you, it's just one of those things that just kind of slows me down, locks me in for that moment.
Now, is it nasal breathing, is diaphragmatic breathing, and just through a cadence?
So right now I'll go back and forth. So I've had like the Headspace app. I have the Calm app now, which is this new one. It's all right. It's kind of got some sound to it. I've also done something what they call conscious connected breathing. It's a book I read where it's basically you're just you're breathing, but you don't pause.
Okay.
And you do it for 15 minutes.
Okay.
And what that does is, if you think about it, the minute you kind of stop breathing, your mind's going, right? So this keeps you focused on, even in the transition of up and down, inhale, exhale, you just keep going. And then all of a sudden you realize how present you become in that moment. And it's pretty powerful stuff.
Man, for 15 minutes, that's probably...
It's tough.
Yeah,
I think the first time I did it, I got to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
think
And then it's a practice, right?
Yeah.
Like anything. And you're, heavily into martial arts. So the other side of being locked in and flow and getting focused and breath work and stuff like that. So it's a practice. You get better at it as you go.
Yeah.
So, depending on the year, depending on the quarter, I kind of reset the goals, reevaluate what I was doing, what I need to put a little more time into. And, that's how I kind of dictate the morning ritual. But nevertheless, like, I was given a book by Elliot, and it basically was just every successful person almost in history, like their morning routine. Benjamin Franklin, Albert Einstein, like they all had morning routines. So I was like, okay, I don't know why, but I'm just going to set this up. And now that acts as my anchor for that day. I'm thrown off if I don't do that. It's like crazy.
I know.
So
that's the hard part. Is like also with a full family, like sometimes it gets thrown off a little bit, and you're like, oh man, if I'm not routine like throughout the day, it is a tough day for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to say that I can't readjust. And champions adjust.
Yeah.
But not to say that I don't, but it is tough for me in the beginning of the day, so I do have my own ritual, and that's why I always ask the question, because I feel like that's a vital question that everybody, you know what I mean? So all right, my next question is going to be what I also ask all the guests is, what's your definition of a strong person? You can think about it. It can be physical, mental, whatever you want.
Somebody who makes their values clear by how they move and how they interact and live on a day-to-day, and stay consistent with that. Like, so when you say strong person, strong individual, I think of my father. And to see that man go to work for 38 years doing, like, breaking his back, and just kind of like not complain, and just he knew his values, he knew why he was doing it for the family. That, to me, that level of consistency and discipline, and the level of confidence he had in himself and his decision making, and not swaying, even if it was in the face of adversity, or even in his case sickness. But even when I was young, like seeing him like in challenging times, even physical altercation, you know what I mean, on job site, but just see him be able to and diffuse a situation and not, you know what I mean, like it was just one of those. So I mean, I'm giving a loaded answer because I
No,
guess
it's
it's a
cool.
loaded question.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm just trying to describe my dad at this point.
No,
You know what I mean?
you're good, bro.
And you know, it was one of those things where, like I said, he just taught me a level of honesty and integrity. You know what I mean? And it was one of those things that I was just like, yo, that meant everything. You know what I mean? To be able to see him do that, and that's what produced his legacy. So it's like I'm trying to live through that and live up to that now. You know what I mean?
100%.
So yeah, that's a big question.
I know, and I when I say it, I'm like, man, I hope like they don't take it too like literal to a sense. I do want you to give me the best answer possible.
Right.
That's why I give people
right.
time to really digest it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it is a loaded question for sure.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say it is because I always want to ask, and the only people that I have on this podcast are the people that I want to talk to. You know what I'm saying? I want to get that information out of that person because I truly respect them. You're one of those people. So
appreciate it.
With that one, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here.
Okay.
Because we got some other stuff to talk about.
Okay.
Off cameras.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell them where they can find you, social media, programs out, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, whatever platform you're on, Overtime Athletes is the performance side of things. Chris Barnard on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube is Overtime Athletes, and then overtimeathletes.com. And that's pretty much it. Programs.
Flight system.
Yeah, we got Fight Ready, one of the best ones.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yes, sir. But yeah, vertical jump, speed, we have, those are all on the website. From baseball, football, basketball standpoint, that's predominant the athletes that I work with, but I have programs for all of them on the website. That's pretty much it.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Chris.
Absolutely.
I
man.
truly
Thank
appreciate
you.
it, brother.
100%,
All right.
man.
All right, man. That was it. Episode 10. I'm Phil Daru, and we're out.